Peace and what's good, YouTube? It's Kareem Samdi back again with another video. So, how to sexually transmutate the energy, right? The sexual energy, when properly transmutated, can up your consciousness and also transform you in general. See, when we raise the Kundalini energy up from the root chakra all the way to the crown, we activate different pathways and different parts within us that are key for spiritual awakening, spiritual ascension, and spiritual power. And this is key for us being in tune with the God energy within us. And there's things that I can't explain that you have to feel for yourself, because you doing the work is going to show you exactly what this does. So I want to tell you about semen retention, right? And if you want to get the most out of semen retention, first you want to let go of porn. All right, you don't want to be on semen retention but just not busting to porn, right? You can be on semen retention, you can have sex with all the women that you want to if you're mature and how you retain the seed, right? That's perfectly fine. But in terms of you being on semen retention and watching porn the entire time, it can be counterproductive, because the thing is, we're talking about the sexual energy, right? So the semen, it contains that life force, that life energy. Now, engaging in things like porn, it raises the yang energy within you. It raises that masculine energy within you. And so the more that you continue to engage, whether you ejaculate or not, the more you build up that yang energy. And if you don't find a balance, and that balance is the yin energy. So if you don't balance it out through meditation, if you don't balance it out through connecting with a woman, if you don't balance out with connecting with anything that can receive that yang energy, you're going to explode. You're essentially going to limit yourself, and you'll probably make your root chakra and your sacral chakra overactive because you are focusing so much on the yang energy. So that masculine energy, it needs something to balance it out. And so you balance it out by doing things that are considered to be more in line with the yin energy, the feminine energy. It needs a receiver. So semen retention, right? Sexual transmutation, right? It all starts with how, first of all, it's going to start with how you're actually dealing with the sexual energy in the lower chakras anyway. So if you're wasting it all the time through ejaculation, to porn, or just in general by chronically masturbating, right? Then first you need to begin to recuperate that first. So, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly easy. Get yourself into the routine of practicing nofap and semen retention first. Then you can begin to worry about sexually transmuting that energy. So you're a week into nofap, a week into semen retention, right? Now you want to use that energy. So you should have already been, at least all the other stuff that you were doing to build yourself up, to transform yourself, spiritual education, working on your purpose, and physical activity, because physical activity is key too, right? You want to take all those things, and that time that you were wasting watching porn, integrate things that benefit you during that time. That's a part of sexual transmutation, just in terms of doing things, right? You want to integrate things that benefit you, that are going to transform you, things that help your transformation. So physically, you want to be working out, you want to be taking care of your body, change up your diet as well, because the foods that you eat, there's certain foods that you eat that they send more energy to the lower chakras, right? And a lot of those can be, a lot of junk food is targeted towards your root and your sacral and your solar plexus chakra. So until you have control over those energy centers, I wouldn't recommend eating a lot of junk food. You want to be cognizant of what kind of foods you're eating. And the way that you can tell physically, at least through the naked eye, because some certain foods, they do look at different colors, they affect multiple chakras, but at least just look at the color of the food and then correspond it to the chakra. That can tell you what it's going to do for you. But if you're really unsure, you can always research it online, or you can read a book, especially if it's vegetables or fruits, because you can find that in herb books, any encyclopedias dealing with herbs. But when it comes to meat essentially, it feeds the lower chakras, right? I'm not condoning veganism. I'm not pushing you towards veganism, but I'm saying, you want to find a balance with everything that you eat. You don't want to focus too much energy on your lower chakras. So that's why it's key to be cognizant of what you're eating, right? And especially if you're just spiritually awakening, because you might not have as much control over your energy yet, and you're still developing yourself. As you get more spiritually advanced, it'll matter less what you eat, because you'll be less identified with the physical body and more identified with the spiritual body. But if you're still coming up, right, then you want to focus more on that as you move more into your power. When you move more into your power, you can begin to let go of prior restrictions that you held against yourself, because you'll realize that it all does tie into what's in your mind, right? So we have to be cognizant of that. And we also have to be cognizant of how our energy works, because how our energy works is in a science. So, and that science is affected in which ways that we place our energy, how we use our energy. So be cognizant of what you're doing with your time on NoFap and semen retention. You don't want to be wasting a lot of time, and you really want to figure out like where to fit in your purpose, because your purpose has to be there. If you're not on it, especially because your purpose has to be something that you love, and you know what you love, something that you were called for. So the more you focus on your purpose, the more things will align for you. So find that. And when you find that and you receive that, as you do that, the right things will begin to come into your life. So when the right things come into your life, now you can begin to worry about transmuting that sexual energy spiritually too. So you want to get into meditation. Montauk Chia's book, it talks a lot about how to transmute the sexual energy through meditation, through exercises. That's why I recommend to get the Taoist Secrets of Love, Cultivating Male Sexual Energy book, because this essentially is key. Not only does it give you an overview of why semen retention is important spiritually, and he does go into the esoteric sciences about it, but he also tells you and shows you exercises that you can do. And so I've been doing these exercises for a long time. Some of these I was doing before I even read this book, but essentially through visualization, you have to move the sexual energy up from the root chakra in the testicles or the ovaries. If you're a woman, you move it, and as you do that, you move it up into the higher chakras, into the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, crown chakra, third eye. So that all those things, it shows you diagrams, exercises, and many different explanations for those things. It's essentially a book about how to actually really get deep into semen retention, because semen retention, if you're not doing the exercises to actually transform yourself, essentially what you're doing is you're leaving all that energy in the root chakra. And that Kundalini energy, like I said, it needs a receiver. So even just being on semen retention, but not actively moving that energy through meditation, through yoga, through Qigong, Tai Chi, if you're not actively moving that energy, then it's going to be very limited. And essentially, it'll build up too much yang energy. Now the yin energy will also be there too to balance it out, but you'll begin to have physical ailments. This is why you hear about a lot of monks and a lot of priests developing developing prostate cancer and all this other stuff that science tries to push against movements like NoFap and semen retention, right? To tell you that this stuff is healthy for you. See, they're telling you the truth, but they're also mixing it with a lie, because if you move the sexual energy, which is something that scientific instruments, or at least in the West, can't observe, right? If you move the sexual energy, all those ailments, they won't take place. They won't actually exist, right? So my experience with this book, at least in the exercises, I've done most of them. I haven't gotten into all of them yet, because I've been into other books, that don't deal with semen retention, but I've been into other occult books. But this book, my experience is a lot different than you just sitting there for 30, 60 days, not busting a nut. It's much different. When you raise that energy up and you circulate it throughout the body, you transform every part of yourself, because it takes your entire body to create all that semen, and all of your organs, all of your glands, they all work together to create the semen. So when you recirculate that energy back into your body, you are essentially creating a new you, especially when you raise it into the higher levels. And for me, every time I've been on semen retention, my astral travels have been more vivid. I've been much more powerful in the astral world. And in the physical world, when I recirculated that energy, I was more in tune with my higher chakras energies, and it was easier to stay more in tune with them and to stay more guarded. Like my aura, it strengthened itself. And, you know, and a lot of that occurs because you're taking what's in the seed, because the semen itself is nothing more than a fluid. It's the life force energy within the semen that when you draw it out using spiritual practices, spiritual exercise, when you draw it out, and when, you know, as you draw it out over time, your body will begin to do that the same way that it beats your heart. So you'll be able to unconsciously raise that light within you. And that's why I say over time, you're going to need these exercises less. You're going to need these suggestions like nofap and semen retention less, because you'll begin to become that. And you become things by doing them, repetition, because that's when it gets into the subconscious mind. So the more you practice semen retention, the deeper it gets into your subconscious mind. And that means that the energy that was stuck in your root chakra will always unconsciously be rising up to your higher chakras, strengthening you, spiritually transforming you. That's essentially where you want to be, you know, because that has an echo on all of the different bodies that encompass you outside of your physical body. It has an echo in the emotional body, an echo in the etheric body, and an echo in the soul body, you know. So you really want to be in control of that energy. This is what the transmutation really is. And like I said, the book is pretty much, once you get past the first 80 pages, the book is like 400 pages. It's just straight exercises. So you want to get that book by Montauk Chia. Definitely get that book. And when my book comes out, definitely get that one too, because I'm going to be going in depth dealing with the male sexual energy and transforming it. It's going to be more than just what's described here. It's going to be a culmination of all this stuff and a lot more as well. So, and also I will say, check out my root and my sacral chakra videos, because those deal with the sexual energy as well. You want to be really up to speed with the chakras and the energies, because the more you understand the chakras, you understand yourself. The more you understand yourself, the easier it'll be for you to understand how your energy works. Understand how your energy works, you can understand the Godhead within you and the universe outside of you. And that's all key. So that's how sexual transmutation works on a physical and on a spiritual level. And unless you do the work, you're probably going to fall off when it comes to semen retention. I promise you that. The same way that you fall off with nofap if you're not actively doing something. See, energy without movement is nothing more than an idea. So if we're not actively moving that energy and it's staying stagnant, it's going to have an effect on us, and we're not necessarily going to transform. You have to move that energy to transform yourself. So meditation is very key. Practices like Qi Kung, Tai Chi, and yoga are very key. Whatever works for you. You can even move your energy through working out too. Physical working out. I do calisthenics all the time. I move my energy that way as well. I practice Tai Chi every now and then. That moves my energy as well. Martial arts is another way to move that sexual energy within you. You know, you wanna really just get into it. When you're starting to really cultivate that sexual energy within you, you want to be able to gain control of it and move it. You know, there's a reason why all of these boxers practice semen retention. You know, all these fighters, they practice semen retention. It's very key. So, and you're also a fighter too. You're a spiritual fighter. And so when you're spiritually fighting against the forces that want to keep your spiritual energy down, you want to have all the light in your hands. A way to get all the light in your hands, all that power within your hands, is to get in control of the sexual energy. And because the sexual energy is connected to your spiritual energy, and it's connected to your ability to create. So if you're not connected to any of that, then you're not really doing anything on any spiritual level. It's just nothing more than an idea for you. So that's the video. I hope it inspired you guys, and I wish you all luck in your journey. Peace.